So today you're in one of two groups of people, and you're here for a 30-minute fast-paced peek into the world of the Forum 400. Either you're a current Forum 400 member. I know John is. BJ, we've never met, so I'm not sure. But we have members and non-members today joining us. If you're a member, you already know what the Forum 400 is and why the members cherish this open sharing community that we are. Of course, if you're in this group that may be kicking the tires, you will know more after our time together today how this organization of nearly 50 years lives for its membership. But both groups will have a sneak peek into the Forum Max event held annually and exclusively for Forum 400 members. Now, those of you who are members, hopefully, if you've not already registered, you'll have this urge to register for the September 30 Forum Max virtual event. While those of you who are not members, well, I really believe you'll feel a curiosity to connect with one of us to learn even more about the impact the Forum 400 has the potential to have on you and your practice. So just setting a little bit of expectation for today, just what this is about. In a moment, you'll see three very active members of our open sharing community offer what we're going to call snippets from their Forum Max presentations. You'll also gain insight as to why each of these members is a part of this very exclusive group of highly regarded life insurance professionals. And finally, you'll know what it takes to join others at the September 30 Forum Max virtual event. As well, if you're a non-member, how to join this amazing community of men and women if you're checking out potential membership today. There's two housekeeping items before we jump in. The first is the webinar is being recorded today for potential promotional purposes. And the other is we want to take questions as we go. So simply ask your question in the chat box, and Joanne Denardis, the Forum 400 Executive Director out of the Chicago area, she'll monitor the questions so that they can come up when it's appropriate. And before we jump in, Joanne, is there anything that's popped up so far? Good.
Nothing yet.
Okay. Well, let's jump in. I want to invite my friend John Mendelson, who's a longtime member of the Forum 400. He's from the Florida area in Orlando. John leads a team of 32 at the Asher Group, and they are the exclusive sponsors of the 2021 Forum Max virtual event scheduled for the end of the month. In a moment, John's going to be one of those three members who will share a practical way to attract and engage clients if COVID resurfaces. And of course, prior to the call started today, what were we chatting about? The resurfacing of COVID. But John, I don't want to start there. Let's start with just a chat about how you walked over the threshold 15 years ago to become a first-year Forum member yourself. What brought you here, and what's caused you to stay involved the way you've been involved?
Well, I'd like to welcome everybody that's here today and the rest of the Forum members contributing. We're so happy to do this. And this is actually one of the reasons why I joined the Forum so many years ago. I remember walking into other organizations that just lacked passion. They appeared to be more of a place to get CE or force-fed products from sponsors. And that's just not me. It's not something I can relate to as a business owner. I was attracted to the Forum because it had a unique vision compared to these other organizations. It was run by other entrepreneurs like me, and I could relate to that. They valued life insurance and planning. If it wasn't their sole 100%, it was a really critical part of their overall planning process, and I liked that. There weren't a lot of other organizations that were even kind of being held to that level of a requirement. I love that the sales discussions and idea sharing was practical, it was useful, and it was really applauded by others to share. This organization is about sharing, almost like a large study group mentality. And it's kept me involved for all these years because who doesn't want new ideas? Things can get stale, relationships can stall, and it's nice to have a sounding board with a group of people that you either talk to a lot or a little, depending on what's going on in your life, personally, professionally. That might be going through some of the same problems or opportunities that you are. So I was just, I was just attracted to it from the start, and it's kept me engaged this whole time.
Awesome, John. The Asher Group, which you're CEO of, and you have family involved in the organization, you've grown to 32. what caused you this year to become the exclusive sponsor of the Forum Max event?
Our company, as I said, like we like to be hyper-focused. We like to be around top performers and those that see the world like we see it. Our company has 32 people in it. We're purely focused on the life settlement and policy valuation space. It's something that I was just always interested in. Even as a little boy, I remember growing up and just wanting to be in the life settlement market. Some people wanted to be superheroes, not me. It was all about life settlements and policy valuations. Obviously, not really, but like many people that are Forum 400 members, I have relationships that were in the insurance business, and I learned more about it and wanted to get involved. And I love this niche that was right in there. As you said, Dean, we are a 32-person firm. We're family owned with a national platform. We've been doing this a long time to make sure we could kind of create a safe place for financial professionals to act within this market and things like that. There's just so much confusion in this industry about lead gen companies and those trying to market direct to clients and all these types of things. So we kind of wanted to find and create a safe place that Forum members could participate. And no different than so many of Forum members that leverage their top BGA relationships that are active in the Forum. We provide that same type of leverage in the life settlement and secondary market. So being involved with Forum and Forum Max was just something we had to be a part of.
Awesome. John, thanks for the little backstory of how you got involved and why you're still around. But to not keep your little snippet at bay, we'd love for you to pivot over. And you were going to share today just a little thought around engaging clients when the circumstances around you make it tough to engage, difficult and different to connect. So why don't you go ahead and share that with the audience?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if anything, we've all had to learn to adjust due to COVID. You have people that don't want to meet face to face. You have your centers of influence that are just making it a little bit more difficult to maybe have as many introductions, or you're not running into them in places. So what I'm going to talk about at the Forum Max meeting, and I'll give you a little bit today, is really about how do you position yourself? What questions can you ask that differentiate you among all the other folks that are calling on your relationships? Are there virtual engagement opportunities that you can participate in or provide to them? And we have some proprietary stuff for the Forum that we're going to be able to share during that Forum Max as well. But even if you just think about it, and I'll just, let's say, give an example of this. Say I'm having a discussion with Dean, who is not a client. So Dean is not a client. He says, you know what, John, I've always enjoyed when we get together or when we have conversations, but how are you different than my existing advisors that I work with? Would you mind sharing? And, I might say to Dean, well, we provide a customized longevity and policy appraisal component to how we do insurance planning. It's very unique in the marketplace. And, you're unique in your situation is, when's the last time you had your policy appraised or valued? And they might say, well, gosh, I've never heard anyone talking about that. And that's something that, no one's ever talked to me about before. Maybe they introduce you to their CPA and the CPA, asks, how are you different? And these are the type of conversations that you can have with clients or their centers of influence. You can talk about ideas about how to appraise existing life insurance, even term policies. I might say to Dean, well, Dean, I saw that, you were recently thinking about selling your business and you had a business valuation done. I might say to Dean, did you by chance appraise your existing life insurance, including your term policies? And Dean said, many times would say, I didn't even know that was an option. So these are examples of questions of ways to open up new insurance engagement opportunities. We've done the same things with charities and other types of families that are fighting, finding funds for caregiving responsibilities. The whole concept of clients outliving their existing coverage and being able to ask them, have they had their policy appraised or valued? If they're looking for ways to fund, caregiving to keep mom and dad at home during COVID, maybe that's another conversation you can have that same question with. And there's so many more that I'm going to provide at the Forum Max upcoming meeting and other tools that you can even provide to those clients. The key is when talking with these centers of influence, existing clients, stalled relationships, you have to sound different. And I'm convinced that by attending Forum Max, you're going to get a lot of really good ideas that open up these opportunities.
So there you go, John. I was taking notes, which I tend to do when I'm on webinars like this. And it sounds like I've got to go to the Forum Max that your company is sponsoring to get the rest of the story.
You got it.
You're not going to share it all here today?
Not going to share it all today. And there are some great tools and that we're going to provide to those that attend. And I look forward to hopefully seeing many of you there.
Awesome. Well, John, again, thanks for sharing what you just shared. I did take a couple of notes, truly did. And I'm going to follow up with you and at the Forum Max, make sure I hear the rest of the story. But thanks too for the Asher Group stepping up and being a big part of this event. So that's John Mendelson. We're going to go ahead and switch gears and visit with Angela Kennedy Robinson. She's a fellow board member of the Forum 400, and she's an active financial and insurance professional in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, actually about 90 miles west, in the middle of nowhere. I love middle of nowhere places. You're about to see a snippet of what will be a 10-minute presentation to a group that you'll be assigned with. So anybody that attends is assigned to a group at the Forum Max virtual event. So it's great to have you here, Angela. The floor is yours. And when you're done, I just want to ask you a question or two. Is that all right?
Okay. Thank you, Dean. Right. And John, thank you so much for your sponsorship for Forum Max. This is where I cut my teeth with Forum, and I am very partial. I call this the biggest R&D department, rob and duplicate. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So it's so much fun. But you know, one of the things I do at Forum Max every year is I go back and I look at the cases that we worked on over the last 12 months, and I think, oh my gosh, this is the group of the most elite, and I've got to figure out what was the most unique, what's going to blow someone's mind, and try to work that angle so that I can bring something of value to the table, because I feel like I get so much out of it. And, you know, the reality was, when I was looking back over the last 12 months, we didn't do one thing the same twice. Everything we did was unique. Everything was tailored to that client or that situation. And the only common thread with all of that was that we never began with the end in mind. You know, we talk about that beginning with the end in mind, but we didn't in any one of those situations. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but there's a little bit of chaos going on right now in the world. Just a tiny bit, and we all feel it, right? It's everywhere. And I think about a few years ago, I was in an event with Navy SEAL Matt Church, and he said, calm is contagious. Calm is contagious. And we have the opportunity in the roles that we do to be that calm, to be the grounding mechanism for the families and individuals that we work with. And it also reminds me, there's another author out there named Arthur Halavati, and I try not to slaughter his last name, but he says the first secret of getting what you want is knowing what you want. Well, we often know what the client needs before they know what they need. And usually we find it out and we think about, they needed that like yesterday, they needed like that 6 months ago. And especially with all these approaching deadlines from tax angles and this and that, we're thinking about that constantly. And the reality is we need to slow down for the client to go fast, because they aren't there yet. They haven't figured that out. And we have done, I feel like, you know, over the last couple of years, as fast as things are and as fast as we're going, our clients don't feel that at all. They feel, you know, the steady Eddie pace, and we may be, you know, doing 8 million different things for them, but they don't feel it and they don't know it. And why is that? You know, we always talk about some of those cases in our past that were hard to close, and why didn't that go through? What fell through about that? And I had a aha realization looking back at the cases over the last year, and one presented itself really hard. And this was something that I met with this prospect back in 2012. And the moment I met with them, started talking to them, started looking through it, I was like, ESOP, like that's it. That's what they need. I can see it all day long, but they couldn't see it. And no matter what we try to do, we can't get somebody to see something that we see in our profession just because we're the expert. We've got to help them come to that realization. So here we are 8 years later, going through our entire life planning infrastructure process with those people. And guess what we're doing? ESOP, right? So I think the funny thing is is that we need to take the time to lay down the groundwork. And we need to do that more importantly now than ever, because if we don't and we mess it up, how messy is that really going to be with all of these changes that are, on board? And we hear from our fellow members all the time about everything that's going on and how we need to build in flexibility and do all this. But what does flexibility mean? And I was on the phone with Dean earlier, and here's my R&D, by the way. I was on the phone with Dean earlier, and he was talking to me. He said, do you know that when golf professionals are working on their golf, they're actually using a stopwatch and timing the time before they swing the club? And I said, no, I don't know that. And he said, do you know why? I said, no, I don't know why. And he said, they're measuring it because that's the time that they're actually thinking about how they're going to swing. And if you know anything about golf, right? Most of us are golfers. Is one little teeny weeny thing that we do differently can mess up that whole swing. And so what are you doing with the infrastructure of your client? How are you building that? How much time are you spending on that to get that swing just perfect when it needs to happen, and get what needs to be done when it needs to be done? Well, at Max this year, I'm going to talk about strategy. I'm going to talk about how we took all that R&D over the years, because I'm openly admitted, most of it's not original. It's R&D after R&D, and how that actually plays out and what you can do with it in your own practice.
Oh my gosh, Angela. I just hope you and John are in the same group. We have to make sure. Hey, I want to be in Mark, John, and Angela's group. I'm just saying that right now. Man, that was outstanding. In fact, I was taking notes because I'm a big fan of taking notes as I hear people chat. Here's what I picked up from you. You got to be intentional all the time.
Yes.
That was, if I were to say what you're doing is you're being super intentional about helping people get what they want. And I love it. So we're going to flip over to Mark right now. Thanks, Angela. That was amazing. We're going to flip to Mark. Mark Milbrod, he's the Forum Max chair this year. So he's running the show, and he's put together just a outstanding group of people to help him. Mark hails out of the New Jersey area. He's a financial insurance professional like the rest of us. He's here too to give a hint of his presentation to his Forum Max group during the Asher Group sponsored Forum Max virtual event at the end of the month. When Mark's done with his, I'm going to actually ask Mark to share a little more about that actual event. So Mark, share with us a little snippet of your little ditty.
All right, Dean, thanks. Yeah, I'm going to take something a little bit to a different direction now, because Angela just spoke so well. It's hard to follow her always. She's so great at what she does. But I'm going to show you one of the things that I enjoy from the Forum Max is the ability to see presentations from the group, because there's so much knowledge within our group, and it's so good to see different ways of presenting. So I'm going to share my screen real quick and show you an idea of what it is you may be seeing on the day of the Max meeting. Let me know if it comes up over there. Is it on the screen? We all up? Okay, so great. So one of the things I'm going to talk about during my presentation is the Secure Act opportunities that we missed last year. What happened was, as we know, the Secure Act was signed and put into action the end of 2019, and which it really was one of the most significant retirement reforms in over a decade. So what happens then? As we all know, COVID comes along and puts this on the back burner. But what we've been doing for the last year or so is going back to this great event that took place and how we can help our clients to achieve some benefits through using the Secure Act as a backdrop there. In total, there's a $30 trillion asset base and retirement assets in the U.S. alone, 18% of which are in traditional IRA and DC plans. There's so much money to be had there. So one of the things that we find is a lot of the clients that we talk to are affected by a lot of the changes with the Secure Act. And what I'm going to talk about during my presentation is the major highlight, which is prior to the Secure Act being enacted, you can take your retirement assets and you can basically switch them over to non-spousal beneficiaries as the heirs with no limit on how they can take those monies out. what's happened with the Secure Act is that now you have a 10-year maximum for non-spousal beneficiaries to grab onto assets. So we're going to talk about many different ideas on how to increase annuity sales, life insurance sales, maybe a hybrid approach of both, but pretty much leveraging the Secure Act and these products and how you can increase your revenue based on using these types of ideas that we're going to throw out there during Forum Max. We're going to talk about the new stretch provisions and basically lock in on non-essential qualified assets. And that to me is assets that people have in qualified funds, but don't necessarily need to use those to live off of. So what can they do to increase the value to heirs? I'm going to go over items such as the qualified life stretch, showing you how to stretch dollars. I'm going to show you how to do the qualified LTC stretch, which is a take on the first option here, showing how to use these assets, these non-essential qualified assets, and use them to your advantage by using the Secure Act as that backdrop. And basically other ways to get money to generation 2. Can't give it all away now, but this is kind of an idea of what we're doing with clients on a regular basis and really drilling down the Secure Act and how to use it in your practice to increase your sales. And that's pretty much basically what we're going to show during the Forum Max presentation from my behalf. So that's a snippet, you think, Dean, enough to throw out there? Mute.
I think
Yes.
it's awesome, Mark. And again, I want to make sure that I get in your group too. So
Yeah, what's interesting though is, we lost with COVID, we kind of lost that whole benefit of the Secure Act. It took a back seat,
yeah,
and it shouldn't be the case. So
yeah.
there's a lot more ideas behind this that you'll see during the presentation, about another 3 or 4, and how we're using them throughout this last year effectively and really driving up annuity and life insurance sales dramatically.
Amazing, Mark. Before we go and transition over to Joanne, can you just give us a feel for what that day will be like? It's a virtual event. It's normally held in person, but give us a feel for when it starts and what's all involved.
Yeah, well, basically, when we did it in person, it was these things happen in front of everybody. But now the second year we're doing this virtually, the day's going to start about 9:30. And what happens prior to this is that you're all going to be broken up into groups, subgroups, and your group will have an opportunity for your price of admission, I should say, is a 15 to 20 minute presentation of a sales idea that you are using in your practice and that we can all walk away with an actionable item and how we can apply it in our practices. And that's pretty much what you have to do prior to coming in. And throughout the day, we're going to have the presentations made within the groups. We're going to converge toward a lunch break, and then everyone's group is going to have voting that takes place within their groups. And there'll be a vote at the end that'll have the best of the best from all the different groups that we have. And that's how the day is going to conclude. For the folks that were not in the other groups, we'll be able to see those winning presentations at the end of that day. And we'll wrap it up. Everyone will then vote as for their favorite, and we're going to close things up around 3 o'clock that day.
Awesome.
So it's a really great event.
Awesome, Mark.
So we do have a couple questions about the format. I know VJ, you are unable to attend because of a schedule conflict. So VJ was just asking if we normally record this event, and the answer is no, due to the format. So the program is not recorded because there are several different breakout rooms, and those presentations are presented in those mini breakout sessions. So this is not recorded. So unfortunately, maybe we can talk to you offline, but it wouldn't be recorded, and unfortunately you would have to miss this year. But again, we usually do Forum X every year. So there's going to be another opportunity next year in which hopefully we can all be in person. But Mark, did you want to add anything else about the format?
About the format, basically, no. I mean, the format is really simple. I mean, like I said before, as we have the attendees, it'll be broken up into those groups and all, and it flows pretty well during the day. And you will not believe that all those hours will transpire because you're just hearing idea after idea and walking out of there with all these ideas to walk away with and get some value out of it for your own practice. So it seems like a long day virtually, but it really works very quickly along the way, just so you know.
Awesome. Mark, thank you for that. If you do have obviously more questions, there's an opportunity for you to reach out to Mark or any one of us. But let's bring Joanne in here. Joanne, there are some folks on this call that are not members of the Forum 400. So would you just walk us through what's the process of being considered for membership?
Sure. And first, I want to say thank you for everyone joining us this afternoon, and welcome to our non-members. Hopefully we've given you enough information about Forum and the program that would move you to the next level. So the process has several steps. The first step would obviously be to submit an application with proof of production. Once we receive that information, our team and the membership committee would review, and we would be in contact with you with every step of the way, moving you along into what comes next would be an interview process with a membership committee member. So it is a multiple step process. It could be a bit lengthy, but again, we are here to help you with that. And after this webinar, we're happy to send you some materials and get you started. First and foremost, the application itself. So more to come from that. And if you have any questions for us, we're here to help.
Awesome. This is awesome stuff. I too want to thank John, Mark, and Angela for sharing, and Joanne for always being such a big help. Ford's been behind the scenes doing some things, but you just saw a sneak peek into this year's Forum Max event that the Asher Group is sponsoring. And I'm just really wondering how you feel. My hope is you feel curious. I certainly feel even more curious about what's going to happen this year after listening to these three professionals share some great little thoughts that are teasing me to want to be in their group. So here's my challenge. Act on your curiosity. Let us know how you're feeling right now. Ford's going to pop up some names on the screen. You're going to see Mark Milbrod's name. He's chairing the event, and Joanne, our executive director, and my name's going to pop up as well with our contact info. There's some emails there. Just reach out to any one of us, or if you know somebody in the forum, reach out to them and find out more of how you may want to involve yourself in the Forum Max event. Or if you're not a member, maybe kick the tires a little harder with us. We'd love to have some conversation. So before I leave you with one last question, I want to thank John again and the Asher Group for sponsoring this year's event, which again is held on September 30th, just 29 days out. So Mark's got us all raring to go. So here's the final question I have. If you're looking for an opportunity to either elevate your game or get out of some stinking rut that you might find yourself in, can you think of any reason why you wouldn't reach out and act on your curiosity today? Thanks again for being here. Make it a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.